Deixa comigo então, meu compadre. Me cansei de ficar sem cantar, sem falar. Mas não posso deixar tudo estar. Pois é, onde está você? Tô cansado de chorar, não sei mais o que fazer. Você tem que me ajudar. É difícil de esquecer, impossível de lembrar.
Welcome to Spire Beast Council. I'm Charles Clark, your real estate investment broker, here with another bright idea. So we will be going over the Spire Beast Council, but I first want to give a big shout out to Next Home My Way, the brokerage where I have my business, which is Raise the Standard Real Estate, and where I have my license. So a big shout out to Angel, Jose, and Carlos for allowing me to host my webinar here in our amazing social media room, where I do majority of my videos and my webinars on my Lunch and Learn, and also my webinar on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. So again, thank you guys for allowing me to conduct these webinars here in our studio. I'm very grateful. So the Spire Beast Council is pretty much a calculator that I created using the Spire Mastermind group that is set up. It's a investor meetup group that we hold here in Southeastern Wisconsin at our headquarters here at Next Home My Way. We have our meetings the second Wednesday of every month, where we just get local investors together to create an ecosystem of individuals who are wanting to, build that real estate portfolio to live the lifestyle that they, are striving to have, right? Real estate is a vehicle to use to create the life that you want to have, right? And so that's what I try to train or help assist with in my business and with having the Aspire Mastermind group. Through that Mastermind group, kind of just, started thinking of ways of how we can assist clients and individuals that come to the mastermind group, um, and help them navigate building a real estate portfolio. And going through that process, I recognize that the Spire Mastermind, or the Spire name, actually was a great acronym to help people actually analyze deals. So Aspire is actually the framework that I use through this calculator that I created through ChatGPT to assist individuals on how to analyze deals. So A is for asset and address. Premise is what are you analyzing and what is it, right? What is the makeup of it? Is it a duplex? Is it a single family? It's it a quad? It's a multifamily unit? What is it that is wanting you to analyze it? What is the characteristics of it? Is it 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, up and down? Is it 2 bathroom up, 3 bathroom down? So A is just basically what is the thing you're analyzing. S is seller situation. The seller, right? Is it a person? Is it a business? Is it a bank? Is it the city? Is it a distressed seller? Is it someone? Is it a LLC who bought it last year and now they got it back on the market this year, right? So it's helping you framework what is the seller situation, because that will dictate how you negotiate, right? If it's and if it's something that's new on the market and it's only been 3 days and you're analyzing and you want to offer 30,000 less because that's the right price, maybe this is not the right time for it, right? Because they just got on the market and they probably are saying, hey, I want to see what happens. So S is for that. P is purchase price or purchase assumption. So this is what what do the seller want, and what do you think it should go for from just your preliminary numbers, right? Uh, it's helping you start thinking on what is the correct purchase price for this property, right? It's helping you frame the property, because at the end of the day, analyzing a deal, you have to frame the numbers, because if you don't frame the numbers, you just got numbers in front of you, right? So, and part of me analyzing this deal, it's going to be hard for any of the deals that I ever analyze if it's a good deal or not, right? Because even if it just cash flow, that cash flow is going to be determined on who's analyzing the deal, right? I just kind of put a video out. Well, if I had a property that cash flows at 500, but the person who's analyzed it, their number is 600, they're going to say that that deal is possibly not a good deal. Me personally, I'll be like, okay, my number is 600. What about this property is at 500? Can I do something to increase it before I just throw it away because it's so close to my number? Now, if someone number is 700, they might be like, well, again, is that property worth me looking at, or is there something about it that I can get it closer? Now, someone number might be 1,000 and be like, hey, that's too far off. I don't, I'm not going to look at it because I need to funnel everything that's a little bit closer to my number. So again, when we're analyzing these deals, you have to take those things into consideration, that not necessarily just because it's cash flowing that it's a good property for you. I is for investment or improvement. So this is, what do we need to do to it? So in how I conduct my business and working with my clients, majority of the deals that we look at, there needs to be some value add component to it. Or if you're trying to scale, that's what you need to do, right? There has to be some component about this property that we can improve it and force appreciation to it. Now, there's some investors out there that just want to buy blue chip and they want to get a certain return, and that's all they want to deal with. Typically, that is your older clients that, hey, I just want to buy something, I want to collect rent and make more money on my money, excuse me, than I can if I put it you know, in a savings account, right? Some individuals Recognize like, hey, if I got my money in a savings account or a money market account, I might be only getting 2, 3, 4, 5%, right? Well, maybe if I put my money in this blue chip, I get 7 to 10%, and that's way better. Yes, the risk is a little bit higher, but that's why I'm getting a little bit more return on my money. So you have those individuals, but majority of individuals that I'm speaking to, they want to grow, they want to scale, and there has to be an element of improvement to the property, or it's kind of gonna, or it's gonna be a bad strategy. So, for example, um, a recent individual reached out to me and wanted to talk about, they felt stuck and they wanted to feel like what they needed to do to scale. Well, after talking with them, I found out that they recently bought a property and they put money in it, but they didn't put enough money into it to raise the value of the property so that they can pull their money back out. They just did enough to get decent rental income and get someone in the property, and that was it. Well, now they put 20% in it, and now that 20% is stuck in there. Stuck is, relative, right? They have equity in it, but they didn't do enough where the bank now wants to give them their money back, right? So the ideal situation for them would have been to put enough in there that they could raise the value of that property enough so that they could pull money out, have the rents cover that new value of the property, because the mortgage would definitely be higher, but they wanted to increase it enough where they can pull the money out. Right. This is where, my finance background, which I'll get into after I explain this, where future value and present value, right? If you don't understand those things, it's going to be very hard for you to understand how to scale and how to refinance. Because in his situation, he's like, well, I'm just banking up 400 a month. That's good for me. Well, let me use 500. 500 a month. I'm getting 500 a month for the next 12 months. That's $6,000. Okay, for the next 5 years, that's 30,000. Well, what if we can sell off part of that 500 or all of that 500 and get 20,000 a day? Right? Is the 20,000 a day more valuable than getting the 500, the next 12 months, next 5 years? To me, yes, because if you're trying to scale, now I can take that 20,000, put it in something. Let's say I can double it. I get that 40,000. Now I got my 20,000. Let's say I have to pay that person who gave me the 20,000. Well, now I got to give them 25,000, right? Because they wanted the 30,000, but I'm paying them early. So now I gave them 25,000 to get my 500 back. But now I got an extra 20,000 to go do another deal, right? That's strategy. That's investing with a strategy instead of just buying cash flow properties. And that's the difference that I would say with working with me with the other agents. I help you structure those things. So that's what I comes into play for. R is revenue, right? That's kind of what we were just talking about. Revenue, 500 a month, or is it a fix and flip, right? Is it me gaining $20,000 because I fix and flip? That's kind of what I just did with that, two situations. I sold off my 500 to get 20,000 a day so I can go do a fix and flip and turn that 20,000 into 40,000. I give that person 25,000. Now I have 15,000 to go do the next deal, right? So that's my revenue, right? So revenue could be the cash flow of monthly payments, or it could be the revenue of a lump sum payment. And then E is the exit strategy, right? The exit strategy in the sense of, so the calculator uses 5. It's buy and hold, fix and flip, BRRRR, buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and repeat. Then it's seller, creative financing, or seller, basically creative financing, using the seller, or wholesaling. So those are the 5 outcomes that the calculator will produce for you. So that's how we use Aspire to give you a framework so you can analyze deals, and so you can plug in stuff. So because some people get, well, how do I analyze a deal? Well, if you follow those acronyms, you should be able to analyze every deal. I don't care if it's a single family house to a 1,000-unit apartment building. So why should you listen to me is what I was going to get into, right? And so the reason why you should listen to me is because I've been investing since 2019, but I've been in real estate since 2005. And the reason why I put these things on is because my client base is just investors. So as I said, I'm a real estate investment broker. The best way to think of me is I'm like your financial advisor for your real estate portfolio. I help you grow that. I help you try to better understand how you do it. I'm no different than someone saying, hey, we should buy this stock. We should maintain, keep this. Oh, this stock is up now. Maybe we should leverage some of it, pull some money off and go get something else. I'm the same way. I just do it with real estate. Um, and you would think, well, what do you have a background? So my background is in finance. I got my bachelor's degree from UW Milwaukee in finance. I also have two minors. I have one in economic uh, economics, and then I have another one in economic development. I also have two certificates. One is in international business when I studied abroad in Paris, France, which was a very cool program. And then I have another certificate in Latin Caribbean studies. That was a very cool program where I studied abroad in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, uh, where the program was surrounded around international finance and Portuguese. So, falo um português um pouco. As I tell people, I don't know much, but I can get us drinks, food, find somewhere to sleep, and I can get us in trouble. So be cautious if you want to go anywhere with me and we have to speak Portuguese. So with that background and with my love for real estate, I realized there was a gap in the market. So when I bought my first property, the agent I worked with didn't know anything about investing, didn't really help me. I basically ended up analyzing the deal myself. I came up with the number. I actually negotiated with the seller um, and got the deal done. My agent just basically filled out the forms. And so I realized as I recognized that I wanted to get my license back because I actually bought that property when I didn't have my license. I was like, you know what? I think there's a gap in the market where I could fill because if I felt like this, I know there's other investors who do. And the whole premise of me is, as my acronym, I mean, as my motto says, I don't help you buy a property. I help you buy a business. It just so happens to be a property, right? I think what a lot of things that happen with a lot of new investors or investors trying to figure out, they use an agent that is just selling them a property. They're not recognizing that they're buying a business and there's more help that you need to give this client of yours to sustain them, that they actually will go buy another property, aka business, sooner than my next other client if I was helping someone buy a home. My premise is if I help my investor client stabilize this property sooner than later, they're going to end up buying another property before my regular client who just bought a home. Because typically, home buyers, they're going to stay in their home for 5 to 7 years. So what normal agents want from those type of clients is a referral. Well, I don't need a referral from my clients because, as like one of my clients, they bought two properties last year. They went from zero portfolio to a $500,000 portfolio in 1 year, and they did not spend $500,000 to get that portfolio. So that is what I try to bring to my clients and what I'm trying to bring to you by sharing with you this calculator. So with that being said, let's get into it. So this is my calculator that I created using the Spire acronym and being a part of the Spire Mastermind group. Uh, I've I wanted to create something that would assist someone who's brand new, but also help someone who's been doing this for years and helping them shift. Because, for example, like I put my clients in buckets. So, uh, 0 to 24 units. You're typically new. You're figuring out. You're starting to get your feet under you. You have a strategy you like, and you're trying to figure those things out. Right. The second bucket is 25 to 100 plus. They initially started out with one strategy and now they're ready to shift that strategy. So most of the times this is individuals who bought single families, duplexes, and now they want to get into multifamily. And then my third category is real estate professions. This is other real estate agents, brokers, or individuals that service the real estate industry that typically sometimes don't have 401ks and surrounded, but they don't have the courage or confidence to start investing. Like that's a lot with real estate agents because they're commission based, so they feel uncomfortable, using $10,000 of their commission money to go buy an investment property because sometimes they don't know where the next check is going to come. I try to convince them that, hey, that's the reason why you should use the 10,000 to go buy this real estate, because now you have some income coming in every month. It's not a lot, but it's enough to say, hey, I got some money coming in and let me do this. So with that being said, this is what this does is kind of help framework. And so what this calculator does is it tells a story. So you're just not punching numbers in there. You're actually giving it information, and that it is going to tell you a story about this property and say, hey, these are the things that I'm getting from the information you're giving me. This is the story that we're coming up with of, how you should move forward in this story. And if this is something you should put to the side, or if this is something you should keep moving forward with. So let's get into this. I do have to give a caveat, because I am a licensed broker in the state of Wisconsin. I'm not like other individuals that run analysis. I try not to use current properties, because I don't want someone to get upset that I might be like they are on the market at the wrong price, because they are um, overpriced when they're still on the market, and then someone uses me and say, hey, this guy says you're overpriced. So what I tend to do is try to use I try to use properties that are already sold, and we can take advantage of, um, and we can really go into detail about it. Sorry, I'm still wrapping up my last reports that I had to put on there. So without further ado, let's start, right? So typically what we have to do is um, we have to push one of these buttons, bring me a deal, and I'll issue a council ruling, or every deal answers to the council. Let's begin. I always like the first one. So it's just going to go through it. It's going to basically give you a breakdown of what it's going to initially ask. So um, it's just going down of, okay, what is some of the information that we're looking for? Um, Again, property address, city and zip, asset type is a single family duplex, bedrooms, baths, square footage, uh, year built, occupancy, because all those things are very important. Yeah, the year built, and I'm in Milwaukee and it's starting to storm, so that's what you're hearing in the background. So don't worry, I'm in a safe building, but it's thunderstorming today. So now it's live. Um, and then the current condition in one line, like it can explain it. But what I'm gonna do, because like I said, I have some access to certain things that the everyday investor might not have. So I'm gonna pull the MLS report now. If what you should do, and this is, I would say, number 2 on your list, if you ever did our 90-day program, um, you should go talk to a lender first, right? Because analyzing deals, it's kind of hard to analyze deals when you don't know your financial situation and your capital situation, because you might not know what down payment you need. You don't understand the structure of your financing to really articulate the deal from that standpoint. So first and foremost, always go and try to get pre-approved, so you know your financial situation, so you can truly analyze the deal. I say that's first and foremost, and you can almost say that's almost second. The first thing you should do, you should figure out what number will make a deal for you. So I always use the situation of a couple, they want to replace one of the partners' income. Let's say it's $5,000. Then I would say, hey, what is a comfortable amount from you to get from per door, right? Or I rather, we want to get at least 250 a door. Cool. Now we know we need to go get 20 doors to get your $5,000, right? So, uh, whoa, that is just loud. I hope you can hear me. I got a mic on me, so we should be good. So just know the rumbling in the back is just rain. Um, So now that I have that framework of, okay, 250 a door. So if I look at a duplex, again, like the situation I use, we need to make at least 500 per duplex, right? So now I know that going in, and that's technically what we're going to be analyzing today. So I'm going to be analyzing a duplex in Racine. This is a property that already closed. So um, and then I'm going to talk to it because I can, and that's the cool thing about ChatGPT. I don't just have to parse in numbers. Please use this report to answer A and then go to S. Right? So it's pulling the information, the address, 710 Kawani Street. It's a two-family, two-story duplex. It's 4 total, 2 per unit, 2 full baths. It's 1,685 square feet. It was built in 1884. It's on a lot size of 0.07 acres. Currently, right now, right, this is the information from the LLS, is giving me the rent. So it's 875 and 850. One of the, so this is, like I said, this is from last year. Um, it's giving you utilities, natural gas, full brick driveway, right? This is stuff you need to know, and most people don't think about this because they're just running the numbers and they just want to move forward. Like, this is something you're going to take over. So as as a landlord and a owner of real estate, you need to understand what you're buying from, and not just look at the numbers, right? You need to understand what you're buying, right? And these are things you need to understand because you might have to fix these things, right? And if you don't know these things and you're not prepared when these things break down, because things break down, you're going to set yourself up for failure, right? um Interior from the images, right? So it pull images, rent ready, not renovated, dated finishes, minor. So that's already telling me something, right? So when I go to the I already kind of know, like, okay, it's, it's rent ready because someone's living in there, obviously from that standpoint, but it's not renovated. So this is a possibility of, is the rents too low, right? Can I raise the rents because the tenants that are in there are renting from something that has no updated finishes, right? So that's an opportunity, right? That's a gap that I could probably upgrade this property, right? So now what I'm going to tell it is, please use the tax form from the previous report to pull the seller information, and also provide with the days on the market from that MLS report that I just provided. Uh, so now, because I gave it a lot of information with that first report, I'm going to actually make it pull out all that information as well. So it's going to give me the information of what happened last year, right? It was listed for 134 and it sold for 130. It was on the market for 22 days. The closing date is August 6th, 2025, right? So it's gonna, so we're basically looking at it if we're trying to buy it today, right? Knowing that it sold last year, right? So it's gonna kind of have that premise when we looking at it, right? So I like this because it's, hey, okay, if it came back on the market, what is a reasonable price to purchase for? Um, so now it's going to have purchase price. So, and then it's going to ask about some rental. So I'm going to give it a couple information. I like giving it the CMA. So I'm going to give it the CMA of what I, ran this information on. That's just going to get, so the reason why I like giving the CMA, because, and if you don't understand what a CMA is, comparative market analysis, I'm already analyzing what is happening around it so that I can see if that's the right price for it, right? So, and that's what you should be doing when you're, analyzing deals is, hey, is the price they have it on the market, is that a correct price? Let me look at the things around it to better understand if, even if it's priced right, because it might be priced wrong, because that happens a lot, right? Because sellers want the most for their property, and a lot of times they say there's no emotion when you're an investor. That's not true, because some investors just feel like their property is worth something when it's not. I just recently got on a deal. We had to lower the price $20,000 because the seller was wrong, about what they thought the property was worth. The property was not worth the amount that we put it on, and the appraisal came back and proved it, right? So, those are some of the things that you have to take in consideration. So I'm going to give it the CMA, but then I'm also going to give it a pre-approval letter that I have. I'm not uh, going to show you that, because that's personal. But I'm going to put a pre-approval in there because, again, without your financing, without the information, it's kind of hard to analyze some of these deals because, well, what are we basing the financing on? What is going to be like if it's a fix and hold, or fix and flip? Well, what is the holding cost? Well, if you didn't go to hard money and figure out their numbers, you can't put that in here. The closing costs. Now I don't know the true cost of buying it, right? Some of these things you might see it's tedious, but well, if you didn't go get pre-approved, what are the closing costs that lender is going to charge you? You need to take that in consideration because that should affect your purchase price, right? So please use these reports to decide what the purchase assumption should be, and then use the pre-approved letter to answer closing costs and holding costs and financing from that standpoint, and then move to I. You see how quick this is too, right? I can just get this information. I can just upload it. I'm not, you know, tapping in a bunch of numbers. And again, I'm not opposed to, some of this stuff. If you don't have it, you might have to write it in, right? But if you had Zillow, you can print, you can print a PDF from the Zillow information you have, right? So there's other things you can pull. Obviously, like I'm going to suggest, hey, find an agent that you can work with that can give you some of this information. And some of the information I'm going to pull is only going to come from having a real estate agent or broker work with you. And then there's some information I'm going to pull, for example, the rental information. I'm going to pull that from rental meter. You can pay for that, right? You have to invest in yourself, guys and girls. That you have to invest in the things you use, the tools you're using. I know there's like Deal Machine where you can pull some of their information as well and come up with some of these numbers. So now we have, subject sold price is 130, right? CMA. So median sold price in that area is 134, average is 142. So, the comparable range is from 99,000 to 189. So they could have bought this at a good price. Again, right now, if I assumed I had to put a certain amount of money in this deal, I think they probably overpaid for it. But based on the rentals that they're getting, for example, if I do the 1% rule, I'll just get, one was 875, I believe, and one 850. So that's 1725. You do the 1% rule. Well, the property is worth 170,000, right? So buying it at 130, I got a deal. Well, is it right? Because if I got to put work in it to maintain that current price, because we already learned that things are outdated. So is it really worth the 175, right? Because it's not. Because if the top thing in that market is selling for 189, this needs work. Just because it's renting out, you're getting 1725 a month, doesn't mean it's actually worth that, right? You might have to invest in that property to sustain that amount. And so now I'm putting money in there just to sustain the 1725 I already have. To me, that's a bad deal, right? Because now I got to put money into something that I paid for that now I can't pull that money back out. So now that we have that information, right, we got our financing structure, these are different things, right? But it just helps, right? It helps with the structure of the deal. Now the calculator understands what you might be looking for, right? Now 20% down payment, loan amount is 104. So like, again, that helps you with, is this a good deal for me? Well, now if I know I got 20% in it, I got to also improve it, me getting it up to 175. Now can I pull that money back out, right? That's the main thing. That's my strategy, right? Maybe hey, I just want something cash flowing. Well, then maybe this deal does work. So assumption 3% closing costs, right? That's part of it. Now this is kind of helping with the carrying costs, right? Monthly taxes, right? Insurance. So $1,300 is my monthly holding costs, which could be just what's moving forward, right? This is kind of taking into consideration if we did fix and flip, but it's just kind of going off currently right now. This is what the monthly holding cost would be if we were doing a fix and flip. And then assuming holding period, if we did it for 6 months, 7,800. So it's kind of just, total acquisition basis. Everything else is kind of going from there. So now we're going to go to I. So what I'm going to tell it to do now is use the MLS tax PDF that I provided earlier. There were pictures in there. Examine the pictures and give me a rough estimate of what it would rehab scope would be. This should be a moderate rehab that needs to take place to update the finishes. It doesn't have to be great, but needs to be up there. I'm assuming that this probably will have to be at least above 30,000 for a moderate. Have that as the baseline, but give me a close enough accurate assessment of what a rehab would be based on the pictures in that report. And again, with the calculator, I have given it some information of the local market here of what some things cost. So it does have some basis from it. Obviously, you can still pull things from the internet, but I did give it some information of, hey, this is what I assume some of these costs will be and what you can base it off of. So it's just going through it like, the kitchen, interior, original, older, laminated countertops, mismatched appliances. Bathroom basic features, old vanities, shower tubs, inserts, functional but lower tier. So like again, if I want to try to get more out of it, I need to update a lot of this stuff, right? Wall ceilings need paint and surface correction. So it just kind of went through this and say, hey, these are the things that I feel like based off the pictures, right? Because a lot of these times, guys and girls, we need to analyze these deals by never going to see it yet, right? Because if it doesn't make sense on paper, why would I need to waste time? Now, if you're starting out, I would say try to go see as many properties as you possibly can. That might be a trouble, right? Especially if you haven't been pre-approved and then you don't want to waste the agent time, because that is a thing in our industry. Moderate value add rehab, not heavy, not cosmetic only, right? This is not a gut renovation, it's not turnkey either. So it's just trying to break it down, right? So again, now you can take this and you can go find a contractor and say, hey, is this accurate? Is this something you would charge me, based off this? They might say, well, I need to go see it. But, you can roughly say, the square footage, things of that nature to try to help it out. But, full paint entire property, 4,500, floor replacement, 9,000, kitchen updates between 10 and 14, bathroom between 6 and 8. Minor electrical plumbing updates, 2,500, fixtures, 2,000. And then deck repair, cleanup, and exterior is about 2,000 to 3,000. So low end 30,000 because that's what I told. Conservative underwriting 40,000. I think that sounds about right. Just based off what we're doing. Again, one. So now think about what I just said earlier about the 1% rule. Well, based off of his 175, I bought it at 30. I need to put 40 in there. So I just put $40,000 at a property to get it exactly where it's worth right now. So I basically paid for the property to get it what it's actually worth today. That's not good, right? Because I need to end up at 130 technically, right? So I needed to buy it at 100 so that I could put 40 in it, so that now I can get appraised at 175 and then I can get my money back, right? So this is how you got to start assessing properties, right? Just because you said, oh, 1% rule is 170, I'm buying it at 130, there's a deal. Well, you're not taking into account that you got to put money in the property, and now you're at the exact amount. So like now I improved the property to the point where it's gonna get appraised, and now I can't get any money back because now I'm all in the exact amount that I put in there. Now again, the 20%, right? Had it at 100. I put 40,000 into it. 75% of that. Let me use a calculator here. I can't think off the dome, so I apologize. So 175 times 70%, 75. The bank is going to give me 130. So I got to leave some money in there. But now I'm in it technically 60,000. I roughly feel like 70. So I'm in it 70. I got a new loan now at 130. It wipes out the $100,000. Out of the 70 that I got, I get 30,000 back. Hey, I got money back to now go do another deal. I got some of the money that I put into it to improve it. I don't think that's a bad deal, right? You got most of the money that you needed to put in there to improve it back. To me, okay, now I have to, swallow my own words and say, in this market, that's a win because I put 40 in it. I got 30 of it back. The bank basically gave me 30,000 of my money back to improve a property that I already own. Now I can use that 30 to go get the next deal. Well, how much was this to put a down payment? It was roughly 30, right? Because I bought it at 130. My mortgage is 100 some thousand. So I basically put 30,000. So now I got enough money to go get the next deal, right? So those are the things you got to, consider. So let's keep moving. So the revenue. So again, right now it's going to say 875 and 850, but I'm going to use, like I said, I pull reports from Rental Meter. Please use this report to use for R and then proceed to E. So it's going to pull that information, right? So now rents, 2 bedrooms in that area is 1,300, 1,338, 1,200. 14 is high, and then it ranges from 11 to 16. So we are way below. So this is a property again, right? If you just initially ran the numbers, you're like, this property ain't for me. I'm gonna move on to the next. Well, now that I'm running the revenue that could be possible, these apartments are $500 less. So I most definitely need to improve these properties because I'm missing out on a lot of money, right? I'm $500 less than what I can get in there. So if we do it on the low end, right? If it's even 1,200, we're $400 that we could be gaining from this property, right? Current rents are 850 and 875, severely under market. Post rehab position mid percentile, not top. So we could be getting 2,600. So now we have a $1,700 a month, roughly, right? 1,725 property that now I can get 2,600. That's a huge difference, guys, right? That's a huge difference in what you make. So to me, this is an ideal property to go after because of the upside to it, right? But now you got to structure it correctly because you got tenants in there. And so the pre-approval that I use is a hard money loan. Now I would be in a situation. So again, this is why you got to go get your financing because you got to be able to structure it. Because now if I use a hard money loan to buy this property, I might find myself in trouble, right? Because if I can't move these tenants out in enough time to get in there, fix it up, get it to another bank to refinance it and pull the money out within 6 months, I'm going to find myself in trouble. So again, understanding your financing before you get into the deal is so, so, so important. Now it's running the numbers again. Total expenses 6,500. Now they're saying roughly 2,200 annually, right? This is a strong rent gap opportunity. Rent assumptions are supported by comps. So, right, that's what it's looking for is like, hey, to clarify things. So I got one more report. They're going to evaluate, but before then, I'm going to give it one more report because I like to overdo it. Please rerun E and then give me your findings. Please rerun E using this report just to validate any information that might be missing or to confirm any previous information we gave. Run through E and then give me your findings. Thinking. All right. So I just like using it just to like I said, confirm certain things. So like there has an assessment. They have a range, right? Their range is a little bit lower, right? So this is again why I like pulling different stuff. It just gives different information. So flip, purchase at 130, closing hold is 11,000, rehab is 4,600, total basis is 188. By using the previous information, like this new stuff is kind of like, that doesn't work. So the flip is non-viable. So we also know that it was around 189, right? So was the higher on the other one. So it was 99,000 to 189. Well, the flip again, right? Flip just doesn't make sense because that's the amount of money that I put in. So if I put it on the market, I'm just going to get all my money back, right? And what's the point of doing a deal that way? Again, is going to take the 188 because that's what we need to put in there. So it's going to go off the basis of that, of the 124, which again is not correct. So I need to retell it. So I'm glad it's happened, right? Because there's things. The buyer report that I gave you has lowered all the numbers. Use the CMA report that I gave you earlier as the basis for the numbers because it seems those numbers are too low. Now rerun that information using that CMA for the basis for the exit strategy. Again, and this happens, guys, right? And I don't see this as a bad thing. I see this as a very good thing that we were able to better understand what's going on and adjust, right? Sometimes you plug in some stuff and that just doesn't make sense. So you need to plug in some more different numbers, right? So we're pulling that CMA, like high comp is 189, comparable duplex is 134 based on, where we were at. So again, we thought that was a solid number. Average ARV is 155 to 175. So we're going to underwrite it at 165. That's better than the 134 that it was pulling because it was just taking that information. But still, again, the basis was 188. ARV is 165. Again, right? You bought it at 130. You need to put 46,000 in it. We're, plus all other costs. Is it really worth that, right? Especially as a fix and flip. Absolutely not. But maybe it is worth it from a BRRRR standpoint because of the increased rents that we can get now, right? So we're going to lose 23,000 as a flip. So that's not going to work. BRRRR, I think this is more fitting of what is going to happen. Now, the thing is, can we pull some of our money out? It's going to likely be below basis, right? So we're going to be leaving money in the deal. So can we pull some money out? Yeah, but most of our money is going to be trapped. Is it just rather a buy and hold now? Again, that might be the better deal because now we're pulling 11,000 out a year. The DSCR loan is 2.0. So if I have the money to put the money in the deal for the rehab, then this is a feasible mark, right? Because most DSCR loans, they want 1.25. So if I'm getting 2 point plus for it, they're going to give me that loan, right? They're not going to hesitate. They're going to throw me that money so fast, it's going to be ridiculous. Wholesaling, obviously not, because of what the market is. It got to be so way less. Creative financing, because of the story that we told it to run it as, is not going to take that because it doesn't make sense for the individual who just purchased the property to do seller financing. They don't have any equity beyond the 30,000 they put in it, right? Based on what we gave them, because I don't know how they bought it, right? They probably don't have a lot of equity, so they can't really leverage it to give me a good deal. So the exit strategy, best is buy and hold. Um, Burr is the next one, but again, capital strap, you might be able to pull some money out, especially if you do use a fix and flip loan, a hard money loan. Flip is just non-viable. Wholesaling is just disqualified, and creative is just again not justified. Um, it's a cash flowing asset, right? Just based off it currently right now where it's at, and then we improve it, it really cash flow. Um, and then the council finds that even under CMA supported values, the deal does not produce flip margin, confirmed structural misalignment for resale. The asset produces stabilized income relative to basis, making it cash flow play, right? Again, if it's about cash flow, perfect play, right? If you are wanting to burr, this doesn't make sense. So someone who doesn't know how to differentiate the two might go after this deal when their ultimate goal is to scale. I don't necessarily feel like this is the perfect property to scale unless again we play with the numbers more so that you can pull the money out. The whole goal is that you have to pull the money out after you fix this up. Based on how we present this story to the calculator, we won't be able to pull our money out. So now, just like the individual I talked about before, you're getting cash flow. Awesome. But now you can't do your strategy. So that's like, football. Like you're a running gun team and you're running the ball 30 times a game. Well, you're not doing your strategy. Could you still be winning? Yeah, because if your running back is awesome and he's getting you yards, but you're not running your offense, is this something you can do and still win the game? Yeah, absolutely. But now you're running a different offense for this property, and now your overall scheme is not working. So yeah, you won this game, but now you might have lost the season because you're unable to run your actual offense now, right? I hope that makes sense. So yes, I was like, please proceed to full ruling and score and verdict. So with this, again, because this is partly helping to train individuals that are getting into Aspire and want to better become a better investor. This we have layers, and if you want to, we have gamified our Aspire mastermind group. So first level is bull, second level, first level is lion, second level is bull, third level is dragon, and the ultimate top level is phoenix. And within each of those levels, there's 3 levels to each. And so part of this calculator, so if you can see, is work bull. So because based on the information I gave and what we're underwriting, it's giving me a work bull level. It's smaller. It's not that complicated. It's a little bit simple if you want to speak on just based on the type of deal it is and the strategy that we're trying to accomplish. So I gave it enough information to support the CMA validation. So we have a solid ARV. The rent comps gave it enough information to make it feel comfortable about that. We were very conservative with the rehab. Obviously, if I have a scope of work that I could give it, that will more solidify that stuff. This creates a binary structure: execute, rehab, rent increase, deal works, fail execution, deal underperforms materially. Like key matrix is 130, and it's basing it off of what the purchase price was, right? Again, if we said, hey, we need to buy it at a lower price, it probably will give us a different outcome. Rehab 46,000, we're ARV is 165, 22,000, cash flow is 11,000, the SCR loan is 2.0, flip margin is -15 and -20. So, but based on this, it's a move forward because of the DSCR loan, because of the buy and hold. So again, it goes through all the different strategies and it picks the one that is the best. And if that one still makes sense, it's going to give it a go. So the council finds this deal produce strong and defensible cash flow. Once rents is stabilized to levels, the council finds the rent delta between current and market large enough to create a forced value, right? Now you might be able to go somewhere and say, hey, this property is actually worth more because it was for 1,700 and now it's worth 2,300. This beats the things around the market. Please reassess this and give me a more favorable, right? Because now I might have bought one of the worst properties in the neighborhood. Now I'm the best in the neighborhood. That I should be able to push the value of that area because I improved it, right? So now you go to appraisal and say, hey, I think I'm better than the other things in the market. I know 189 was the top, but my property is better. I'm renting it out for 1,300. Please take these things in consideration to value my property more. And then maybe they say, hey, you know what? Let's value at 225, right? It's 2,600, 1%, is maybe it's a little bit less. It's not way better than 189, but way better enough. And let's run that one. So 225 times 75%. Now it's 168, right? Again, I'm closer, right? Because we're in it 188, right? I put 30,000 down. I put 40,000 down, right? I'm 70,000 in cash. I had a mortgage of 100,000. Now I got a new mortgage of 168. It wipes out the 100,000, and now I get 68,000 back. Well, 68,000 of the 70,000 I put in, that's a win, right? That's a good deal now, right? So now you just have to make the argument: can I get an appraisal to appraise this property at 225 now, and then have a bank or a DSCR lender give me a refinance at 225, right? So again, how you structure it, how you look at it, right? If I just looked at it from someone who just want cash flow, and I look at it from someone who wants to scale and use the BRRRR method, right? If looking at under those two different lenses, I'm gonna get two different results, and I'm gonna get a different go, right? If I just look at all fix and flip deals, I'm gonna pass on this deal, right? This deal doesn't make sense from a fix and flip standpoint, unless again I can get it appraised at 225. Well, if I can get it appraised at 225 and I can sell it at 225 and I put a 180 in there, I got, I'm going to pull out about 25,000 on top of the money that I put in there. So not only did I get all my $70,000 back, I got an extra 25,000. So now again, it works as a fix and flip situation. It doesn't work from a seller situation, creative seller financing, or it doesn't work from a wholesaler situation. So again, the council significant rent upside. If I increase the rent, strong DSCR, market supports it. So let's move forward from that standpoint. What the council flags is no equity, right? Created a purchase, refinance, risk, right? Because now we got to approve it. It's 1884. So there's gonna probably be things that we need to, fix. And so again, right, it says to reach at 80, we would actually have to purchase at 120, or get the rehab down to 35,000, or try to see if we can get rents up to 1,400, right? So to achieve 2,700 in total month of rent and within 6 months. And then what I love about the calculator, and how Spire is set up, is that we want to always have you moving forward. We don't want you stagnant, right? So the calculator always gives you things you can do to keep this deal moving forward. So now it's saying, hey, go and see, is the roof, plumbing, electric. So like now, because this makes sense, schedule a showing, right? Bring a contractor with you. Verify that we can actually get it up to 1,300. How we're going to get tenant turnover, right? Get the leases. All those things are some things you can move forward. And then it gives you an assignment. Hey, execute a control, 40,000, 60,000 value add, right? Go see if you can go get a contractor that's going to actually give you that amount, right? So those are the things you have to take in consideration when you're running analysis, right? So there you have it. We just ran a analysis using the Spire framework. Again, it's A for asset address, S is for seller situation, P is for purchase price, purchase assumption, I is for improvement, investment, R is for revenue, and E is for exit strategy. I guarantee you, if you start using this framework, it will help make analyzing a deal a better way for you to understand what you're looking at and what you're analyzing, right? So that is key when you're analyzing these deals. And again, you got to have some framework. So you should be pre-approved, and if not, roughly understand what you could be pre-approved for, and use that so you can better analyze deals. And yeah, I would say, and then reverse engineer. So what is your ultimate goal? What is your first goal, right? Yeah, everyone wants to be a millionaire. Cool. What is the first goal you can get so that you don't feel stuck? Because going from 0 to $1 million is a lot, but Is it 5,000? Is it 2,000? What does that look like for you? Because without that number, you can't frame this information, right? You can't frame this. You don't know what's a good deal or not. You don't know what you should pass up on. All right. Thank you again for joining me. We're at our hour mark. I'm Charles Clark, your real estate investment broker, here with another bright idea. Belazer.